In late 2007, 13 men gathered in San Francisco inside a small restaurant for this iconic photo. Today, each of them have giant companies worth hundreds of billions of dollars. YouTube, LinkedIn, Reddit, Yelp, Tesla. And what do these men have in common? Well, they all work together at PayPal. This group is known as the PayPal Mafia. But that's old news. Today there is a new mafia emerging. Though not quite as suave as the original, each of these guys were involved in the early days of Ethereum and now have founded their own crypto companies worth billions. Meet the Ethereum Mafia. And this guy here, he founded Polkadot. To understand why it's worth billions, and if you should invest or not, we need to get to know him.
Hi, I'm Gavin Wood.
My name's Gavin Wood.
My name's Gavin Wood.
Meet Gavin Wood, one of the 8 original co-founders of Ethereum. He's not as well known as our Lord and Savior Vitalik, but Gavin was instrumental in writing the original Ethereum code. In fact, he was the one who actually created Ethereum's programming language, Solidity. But back in the day, there weren't endless altcoins like we have now.
Keep your eyes peeled. They're everywhere.
Bitcoin was the world's dominant blockchain, and that was basically it. In 2014, Gavin Wood joined Vitalik Buterin to build something better and radically different, describing Ethereum as one computer for the entire planet. But while Vitalik was selling out arenas and globe-trotting to preach the gospel of Ethereum, Gavin, he stayed in the shadows, scheming and waiting for the day when he would reign supreme. Well, it wasn't quite that dramatic. But by 2016, Gavin had left the Ethereum project because he didn't think that they were doing enough to pursue the promise of blockchain technology as a truly decentralized ecosystem. He had a larger vision for something global, a technology that could connect all blockchains. His life mission has been a crusade against what he calls blockchain nationalism. You see, the whole Ethereum project didn't really sit well with the Bitcoin OGs.
We were just kind of thinking how we could create the next version of Ethereum if we sort of had a green field.
Gavin Wood wanted a fresh slate, and so a new blockchain was born, Polkadot. This new blockchain was meant to pave the way to Web3, the crypto promised land. The official website describes Polkadot as a platform for Web3. It's a term that has become more popular recently. If you've ever wondered where the phrase came from, it was coined by Mr. Wood himself. He founded the Web3 Foundation. We'll come back to that word, Web3, in just a moment. Joining him was Aaron Buchanan, who just quit his job as a Ben Stiller impersonator to wage war on the blockchains. Let's dive into what they built. Polkadot. Polkadot is tackling one of the biggest problems we see in all of crypto land. It's what Gavin Wood has dedicated his life to solving: interoperability. The problem is, blockchains can't talk to each other. Think of it like this. Blockchains are a bunch of antisocial dudes at a party. They just kind of stand around and they don't really talk to each other. But in fact, it's actually worse than this, because they simply can't talk to each other. Because Bitcoin speaks French, and Ethereum speaks Mandarin. There's just no way they can have a conversation. Meanwhile, Cardano's over there speaking Italian, and Solana is telling a joke in Hindi. This party just ain't gonna work. But Polkadot, she's not only the social gal, but she's multilingual. A polyglot, very talented. So what she does is she bridges information from one blockchain to the next, so they can finally have a conversation. Gavin envisions a future in which all blockchains talk to each other at parties. A world in which blockchains can work together in harmony and interconnectedness. It all sounds pretty rosy. So how does Gav do it? Well, Polkadot does 2 main things. The first is that it's a general purpose blockchain. What that means is that Polkadot provides the infrastructure for any startup or business or even an individual developer to build their own blockchain. The second thing it does is it has the power to connect well-established blockchain networks together, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, via a cross-network bridge. And I'll dig into that one in a moment. But before we dive too much into it, let's take a look at this big claim that Polkadot makes. The first Layer 0 blockchain. What the heck is a Layer 0 blockchain, you might be asking? Well, each blockchain has its own ecosystem and technical architecture. We've got Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're both Layer 1s. Then Layer 2 protocols are projects like Lightning Network, which is built on top of Bitcoin, and Polygon, which is built on top of Ethereum. A Layer 3 would be a specific dApp, like, say, Uniswap, which happens to be built on top of Ethereum. Everyone between the layers can talk to each other at the party, because they speak the same language. They use the same architecture. Now, Layer 0s, they exist to bridge the gap. Let's put this in different terms. Imagine you found a new island in the middle of the ocean. It's a beautiful desert island, fertile soil and flourishing greenery. It has all the raw ingredients you need to build a great city. The island is a Layer 1. It's the blockchain. It's the base, the underlying architecture we can all build upon. But next, you need to clear some plots of land, because then that will make it much easier to build upon. So this would be Layer 2, the protocols. They are improvements to Layer 1. Now you have a beautiful island, it's been completely cleared, so now you can start building. Layer 3 are the buildings, and they have specific uses like houses or supermarkets and coffee shops. These are the decentralized applications. So what about Layer 0? Where does that come into play? This island is now a city teeming with all sorts of Layer 3 houses and coffee shops, but ultimately it's still an island and it's isolated from everything else. But imagine if we built a massive bridge to the next island. That's what Layer 0 is. Then all the citizens of our island can travel to the next island, and then everybody is better off. This is exactly what Polkadot does. As a Layer 0, it bridges different blockchain islands together. So what does this look like in the real world? For example, say you have a smart contract set up on Ethereum and you want it to trigger a payment on Bitcoin on the BTC network. Well, right now, Ethereum's smart contract is barking instructions in Mandarin, while Bitcoin over here is listening out in French. Polkadot fixes this by making the exchange possible. And this is called a cross-network bridge, and it's Polkadot's second use. Polkadot's main use, though, is providing a blank, clean slate blockchain for startups and corporations and developers to build and customize for their own use.
This basically allows every coder to also be a businessman.
So to understand how Polkadot actually does this, let's take a quick look at the blockchain architecture. Polkadot has two key parts: relay chains and parachains. So the relay chain is the nucleus. It sits in the middle of the entire Polkadot network. It's kind of like a bookkeeper, sitting there and overlooking all of the transactions on the network. The relay chain holds all the validators and is responsible for securing, governing, and connecting all the parachains. So, what's a parachain? Parachain is just the name that Polkadot gives to its blank slate blockchains. So, a parachain equals a blockchain. It's Polkadot jargon. But these parachains are fully capable blockchains. So they have their own economy and tokens and governance and users, and just like any other normal Layer 1 blockchain like Ethereum. And every parachain is connected back to the relay chain. Think of it like the United States government. The relay chain is the federal government, and the parachains are the individual states. So the federal government secures and governs and unites the individual states. It overlooks everything. But the individual states also secure and govern and coordinate themselves. It's only if a dispute happens that the federal government steps in to sort out all the individual state governments. All parachains are connected via the relay chain, and they can exchange any piece of data. So it could be tokens or an account balance or information from the real world, like a stock price or the result of a sports match. So what would this actually look like in the real world? For example, let's say an insurance company wants to build a decentralized marketplace for buyers and sellers of insurance. The devs would build it on Polkadot's parachain, which is now the insurance company's own blockchain. Then it would work like this. If someone bought flight delay insurance, the policy would automatically pay out if these two conditions are met. The Oracle parachain confirmed that yes, your flight was delayed, and then the Internet of Things parachain confirmed that yep, you were at the airport on time for your flight. So if the main insurance parachain received the information from both the Oracle parachains and the Internet of Things parachains, then it would use an Ethereum bridge to trigger a transaction using like a stable coin, something like DAI, from the insurance company's account to the policy holders. That would all happen automatically using smart contracts on the blockchain. So that is the power of interoperability. I can't believe we've come this far without talking about Polkadot's native token, DOT. The DOT token has 4 main purposes: staking, fees, bonding, and governance. The staking of DOT is crucial to making Polkadot's proof of stake consensus mechanism work, and it has 2 parts. The first is called BABE, or blind assignment for blockchain extension, which is derived from Ouroboros, and it is used for blockchain production. The second part of the consensus mechanism is called Grandpa, or Ghost-Based Recursive Ancestor Deriving Prefix Agreement. Quite the mouthful.
Oh boy, that's a tongue twister.
The tech details are way beyond this video, but I'll link it in the description below if you're a super nerd and you want to dive into the technicals. DOT tokens are kind of like Ethereum's gas. They're fees to use the network. So they're required to settle a transaction from the parachain back up to the relay chain. DOT can also act as a bond, like when you go and rent a house. To set up a new blockchain on Polkadot, you need to pay a bond, and you'll get that back once your lease has ended. Lastly, DOT is used in governance, mainly voting on changes to the network. As for the ICO, Polkadot launched in 2017 and was one of the most successful ICOs ever, raising over $200 million. 30% went to the founders and the project, 58.4% went to investors, and 11.6% were pre-mined rewards and airdrops. DOT has a current circulating supply of almost 1 billion tokens, and that was after the community voted to redenominate by a factor of 100, basically to make the math easier. Polkadot has inflation of about 10%, and a portion of that inflation is rewarded to the validators, and then the other portion goes directly to the treasury for ongoing development of the network. DOT's market cap is currently sitting around the $20 billion mark. For context, Bitcoin is usually about $1 trillion, and Ethereum is often half of that, whereas gold, that's usually sitting around $12 trillion. Polkadot is a bustling ecosystem, and it currently has the 2nd largest developer community after Ethereum. Here are just a few of the fascinating projects that I came across. Interlay is a trustless bridge from Bitcoin to Polkadot. Snowfork is another trustless bridge, but this time between Ethereum and Polkadot. Darwinia is a multi-chain bridge designed to become the layer 0 for dApps and games. There are a lot of bridges on Polkadot. Clover Finance is a multi-chain wallet, which allows users to store tokens from blockchains like Ethereum and Polkadot and Polygon, but all in one single place. And there's tons of other applications out there waiting to be discovered. So Polkadot, what do we have here? Polkadot was founded by Gavin, one of the founding members of Ethereum. It was designed for interoperability, basically helping blockchains to talk to each other. The main use of Polkadot is that any company or individual can start their own blockchain using Polkadot's parachains. And then the second use of Polkadot is that it bridges blockchain networks together, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, so that information can be moved between them. Polkadot is a fascinating project that takes a strong bet on a vision, a world where blockchains are all interconnected.
They're creating an interconnected web.
So, is DOT early Google shares or pets.com? Nobody knows. The price prediction is a mystery too. But what we do know is that Gavin helped to plant the seed for one of the most powerful movements of our time, Web3. It's giving rise to an entirely new era, where the internet is becoming what it should be, open and permissionless. An internet owned by us, the users and the builders, organized through tokens. Imagine if the drivers of Uber actually owned Uber. Or imagine if you got paid to post your photo on Instagram. It's all coming. Web3 is just the beginning.